Hi, this is Stephen from OWNorDisown. Well, today I'm reviewing the Eluktronics Prometheus 16. It's a 16-inch gaming laptop powered by the Ryzen 9 5900HX. Now you can configure it to use either 130 watt RTX 3070 like my model, or the 150 watt RTX 3080 in both the 8GB and the 16GB variants. Pricing starts at $1,899 for the 3070 model with 512GB SSD and 16GB of RAM. The 8GB 3080 model is an extra $400, and the 16GB 3080 model an additional $200. So it is not cheap, especially when competitors have been offering good discounts with the new generation laptops arriving soon. Now, Eluktronics positioned the Prometheus as a good laptop for both content creation and for gaming by its nature of its 16 by 10 2560 by 1600 165 Hz panel, and in fact it uses the same 16-inch panel as the Legion 7. I actually think it has better contrast and looks better than the Legion 7, even when I change all of the X-Rite settings on the latter. And as for the backlight bleed, I thought it was slightly better on the Legion 7, but this even varies from model to model, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Now, one thing is for sure, it is nice and bright, coming in at 489 nits. Now, the biggest issue, in my opinion, is that there is no mux switch or G-Sync like on the Legion 7. It relies on AMD FreeSync with a range of 60 to 165 Hz. Now, the absence of a mux to enable bypassing the iGPU when gaming is a deal breaker in my opinion, especially at the price level and when the Legion 5 Pro or even the Legion 7 can be had cheaper. To test the 5900HX and see how it compares to the 5800H in the Legion 7, I ran Cinebench R23 and R20. In all of my testing, I used the 3 power modes available to us on the Prometheus 16. First up is Cinebench R23, where I ran the full 10-minute test. Using the auto fan, high performance mode, the CPU fan would run at 5170 RPM, game mode runs at 4312 RPM, and office mode at 3322 RPM. In high performance mode, I was surprised to see the multi-core performance slightly trail the 5800H, even though it was 8% faster in the single thread test. The CPU would settle at 65 watts, which is pretty high for a Ryzen laptop, and runs quite hot using the auto fan at 93 degrees, and also quite loud at 58 decibels. Now, using the max fan did drop the CPU temperature by 2 degrees, and it increased the sound levels by 2 decibels. Office mode, however, matched the Legion 7 using 53 watts, 88 degrees, and a much more palatable 47 decibels of fan noise. Now, switching to the shorter Cinebench R20, the 5900HX comes out on top using high performance mode, and office mode matches the 5800H, which I think is a good showing for those that want a cooler and quieter setup. Now, to test the thermals when gaming, I used Far Cry 6. Using the auto fan, the RTX 3070 ran at 85 degrees, even when it dropped from 130 watts to 120 watts, which is higher than what we would normally see. It is actually very close to the maximum 87 degrees that Nvidia has for the 3070. The CPU, using only about 20 watts, is pretty cool at 83 degrees, and when we activate the max fan, we see about a 3 degree drop. Game mode with auto fan runs about the same as high performance mode. Office mode sees the 3070 drop to 105 watts and a slightly lower temperature with little effect on the frame rate, it seems. And bear in mind the fan noise. High performance with auto fan is 59 decibels, game mode is 53 decibels, and office mode is only 47 decibels. And max fan is 60 decibels. Now, using the inbuilt benchmark, there is indeed not much difference between the 3 power modes, especially at 1080p. And only at 9% spread at 2560 by 1600. Perhaps more worryingly is the performance difference compared to the Legion 7 that uses the 140 watt 3070 in dedicated GPU mode, and that is 17% faster. Since the Prometheus uses fast RAM, the bulk of this difference must be due to Optimus. What a shame. Here is Assassin's Creed Valhalla using ultra high settings at 2560 by 1600. This is with high performance mode and auto fan, and we see a similar thermals as we did with Far Cry 6. Note that the integrated GPU usage of up to 29%. Again, Optimus is affecting performance. The 7 watts difference between the 3070 and high performance mode and game mode, and even 22 watts less in office mode, makes little difference in frame rate. So you might as well forget using high performance mode with its higher fan noise. Looking at the Legion 7, the 39% difference at 1080p is crazy. At least the native 2560 by 1600, the gap is much closer. As for build quality, it's definitely not in the same league as the Legion 7. It's all plastic, the lid has quite a bit of flex, much like what you'd see on the Omen 16 to be honest. There is no logo on the lid, so it does have a nice clean look should you want to use it at work. The one-piece touchpad is smaller than the Legion 7, but what bothered me the most was how rattly it was. If you tap it, you can actually feel it throughout the chassis. Also, the touchpad is centered in the chassis, but offset to the right of the spacebar. Now, I am the worst typer in the world, so it actually didn't bother me, but I wanted to mention it just in case it was important for you. The keys are smaller than on the Legion 7, especially the arrow keys, which might bother some people. It does have a separate number pad, which is nice. Now, I did like that you do have a max fan button, and that's with its bright orange colour, it stands out from the rest of the keys. Now, the Legion 7 does have keyboard shortcuts to change power modes or to change the screen refresh rate from 165Hz to 60Hz to save battery life. It would have been nice to have this functionality as well here. But you can change the key lighting via their control center, choosing any colour for each of the 3 zones. You can choose a preset pattern or just have all of the keys the same static colour. There are 2 levels of brightness, and although they are not super bright, they are certainly adequate in a dark room. And also, you can actually change the colour of the trunk or the RGB here around the vents. And indeed, this is where the similarities to an Alienware laptop lie. Now, the ports at the rear include a mini display port, a USB-C, HDMI, RJ45 and a power connector. Now, I do like the much smaller 230 watt brick over the big 300 watt that's used on the Legion laptops. On the left hand side you have a USB Type A, a combo headphone mic jack, and on the right you have 2 more USB Type A ports. Now, like the Legion 7, there is no SD card reader, which is a shame, as that is something I would like to see as a content creator. So the underside is also made out of plastic, bit of a darker colour. It's solid enough. You do have some nice air intakes here. The speaker grills are here, and to get inside it's pretty straightforward. Moving these screws, lift it up from the back, comes off nice and easily. And inside here we have the 64 watt hour battery, and of course with the speakers either side. And we do have 2 sticks of RAM in dual channel, single rank by 8, so good fast RAM, Wi-Fi card, and we do have 2 M.2 slots, so upgrades are nice and easy. And the cooling looks good too. We have the 3070 here and the 5800H here, with a total of 4 heat pipes, with some nice big heat sinks here at the back, and another 2 of course at the sides. Now, I was expecting with the 65 watt hour battery that it wouldn't last that long, but it did allow me to stream YouTube at 35% brightness for 4 hours, which wasn't too bad. Compared to their Mech or Max series, I was a little bit disappointed with the speakers though. They aren't particularly loud and they lack bass. I do recall the Max and the Mech laptops use THX software, and it's a shame that the same is not available here. As for real-time audio, it did pass my latency mon test. So 720p webcam does a decent enough job. Microphone picks up sounds fairly well. This is what it's like when you're typing. So what do I think of the Prometheus 16? Well, I think if it was priced $300 cheaper, then I would recommend it. It does have a very nice screen, and although unlike the Legion 7, it does lack a MUX and G-Sync. The FreeSync does work well though, and it does help stop tearing. I was just disappointed by the lower than expected frame rates for a 130 watt RTX 3070. Now, I didn't see any major advantage in having the 5900HX over the 5800H either. So if they switched that, then this laptop could have been offered a bit cheaper. The build quality, well, that was a little bit poor as well, I'm afraid. It was mainly the rattly touchpad that bothered me. And that is something, that you've got to use every day, use it a lot. Now, getting inside to do upgrades is easy, much the same as the Omen 16. And to be fair, it is much easier than the Legion 7. I also wish they had included halfway decent audio software like they did on their Mac 17. Now, as you probably know, Bob of All Trades now works at Eluktronics, and he will be coming over to my place in just over a week or so that we can do a joint live stream. Now, hopefully he will be bringing over a new BIOS for the Prometheus 16, so we will see what changes that brings. Also, he will be telling us a little bit about their new 2022 lineup. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to catch that video. I'd like to thank you for watching. Bye now.